Most people think a nursing home means safety, comfort, and care, but the truth is much heavier. What looks peaceful on the outside can feel like quiet suffocation on the inside. The routines, the silence, the loss of control, it changes you. Not immediately, but slowly, day by day, until you forget who you were. This isn't about blaming anyone. It's about seeing clearly. Because once you're inside, the freedom you once took for granted becomes a memory. Stay with me until the end, because the last truth I'll share is the one no one dares to admit, and the reason I wish I had chosen differently. Comfort becomes a cage. It doesn't hit you right away. At first, it feels like relief. You no longer have to worry about your stairs or your cooking or who's going to help you change a light bulb. Meals arrive on time, someone makes your bed, and everything is managed for you. For a while, it feels like you've earned this, like you deserve to rest. But what you don't realize is how quickly that comfort begins to cost you. Because the less you do, the less you can do. The body adapts, and in a nursing home, it adapts to stillness, to dependency, to surrender. And the longer you live in this ease, the harder it becomes to resist. You lose strength not just in your limbs, but in your will. You start to hesitate not because you're weak, but because you're out of practice. The spirit that once told you to keep going becomes quiet. The fire you used to feel turns into smoke. And that's when you realize comfort is a trap, a soft trap, one that doesn't chain you, it just persuades you to sit. And when you sit long enough, you stop getting up. The world gets smaller, your stride gets shorter, and your ambition becomes something you vaguely remember. You are not here to be parked. You are not a broken car in a garage. You are a living, breathing system, and systems decay when unused. If your environment doesn't challenge you, your body will forget what it was made for. And in these walls, challenge is scarce. Everything is padded. Every risk is managed. Every opportunity to grow is labeled a hazard. So yes, you are safe. But what is safety if it also means stillness? What is protection if it means isolation from the edge of your potential? That's why the comfort of a nursing home becomes a cage. Not because it's cruel, but because it removes the very thing that makes you human, your need to grow. 2. They manage you, not see you. There's something haunting about being seen, but not known. In a nursing home, that becomes your daily reality. Staff come and go with clockwork efficiency. Names are remembered, charts are updated, medication is delivered on time, and yet the person beneath all that data begins to disappear. You stop being a soul and start becoming a series of symptoms. They don't mean harm, but systems aren't designed to care, they're designed to control. What happens over time is subtle, but dangerous. You stop offering your opinion because it's rarely asked for. You stop sharing stories because no one seems to listen long enough. You become agreeable not because you're content, but because you're conditioned. The more compliant you are, the smoother the day runs. But deep inside, you feel the erosion of something sacred, your individuality. The tragedy is not neglect. The tragedy is that the emotional and spiritual sides of you are slowly pruned away to make room for institutional efficiency. They bathe your body, but forget to feed your spirit. They manage your meals, but overlook your meaning. In time, even your voice begins to shift. It gets softer, more unsure, more hesitant. Because when you aren't seen, you start to doubt your right to be heard. The lesson here is not to blame, but to awaken. If you live in this place, or will someday fight to stay known, tell your stories, demand conversation, refuse to become a file. Your life is not a shift task. It is a map of resilience, and it deserves to be witnessed, not just serviced. 3. You're surrounded by death, and you start preparing for yours. You don't think it'll get to you. You think you're strong, that you've made peace with mortality. But living in an environment where people disappear without warning, where familiar faces vanish overnight, it does something to your psyche. It chips away at your momentum. It doesn't just remind you of death, it begins to normalize it. In this world, dying becomes part of the routine. A man you spoke to at lunch is suddenly not there. A woman who smiled every morning doesn't return. And you don't ask because you already know. Death is not loud here, it's quiet. It slips in and rearranges the room. And it starts to rearrange your thinking too. You stop planning. You stop calling. You start organizing your thoughts like someone who's wrapping things up. But this is the danger, because the moment you mentally accept your exit, your body follows. You stop pushing, you stop exploring. You stop investing in tomorrow. And that retreat, that soft surrender, shortens your life more than any diagnosis ever could. If your spirit stops expanding, your lungs eventually will too. You must resist this drift. You must hold on to the idea that life continues not just as a technicality, but as a duty. There is still time to share, still time to shape someone's thinking, still time to contribute. Your proximity to death does not mean you're finished. It means you're needed more than ever. Bring light into these walls. Be the soul that reminds others and yourself that life isn't measured in years, but in energy. 4. Visits fade and loneliness grows loud. At first, the visits feel frequent. Family calls, children show up, friends check in, but over time, life pulls them elsewhere. And it's not out of cruelty. It's simply how modern life works. People are busy, their priorities shift, their schedules fill, and slowly the connections that gave you color begin to fade. You start to count the days between visits. You try not to resent the silence, but it builds. The phone rings less, birthdays get quieter, holidays lose their magic. And the loneliness, it doesn't feel like sadness. It feels like silence pressing against your chest. And that silence begins to shape your thoughts. You wonder if you've been forgotten, if you still matter, if anyone sees you at all. Loneliness is not a feeling. It's a biological condition. It increases inflammation, weakens the immune system, and accelerates cognitive decline. It's not just unpleasant, it's lethal. So how do you fight it? You create connection where you are. You don't wait for someone to bring life to you. You become the source. Join something, lead something, mentor someone. Initiate the conversation. Your energy might be the one thing that keeps someone else alive too. And in giving connection, you get it back. 5. You stop taking risks, and that's when you start dying. The greatest loss inside these walls is not mobility or memory. It's courage. You become cautious. You avoid stares. You hesitate to speak your truth. You decline invitations. And little by little, you begin to shrink not just physically, but psychologically. You start calling things too much before you even try. You accept help you don't really need just because it's easier. You default to saying no. But every time you retreat, you lose muscle. You lose confidence. You lose identity. Risk is not recklessness. Risk is what keeps you alive. The willingness to try, to reach, to stretch. That's what fuels growth. That's what makes life feel real. Even at 80, you can pursue something. You can choose to read, to debate, to paint, to ask deeper questions. You can still live like someone who hasn't finished. A man dies the moment he stops trying. Don't let safety seduce you into submission. Make bold choices, even in small ways. Wear something that surprises people. Ask the hard questions. Push your body. Push your mind. You're not too old to evolve. You're just too comfortable. 6. You think you're resting, but you're waiting. This is the harshest truth, and the one nobody says out loud. You're not resting, you're waiting. Waiting for breakfast, waiting for pills, waiting for visitors, waiting for someone to talk to, waiting for the day to end, and eventually waiting to die. That kind of waiting is not rest. It is decay disguised as routine, and it robs you of the one thing you still have: your agency. Even here, even now, you can choose. You can create structure. You can design your morning. You can claim your voice. You can become the man who others look to, not because he's loud, but because he's awake. Don't wait for life to end. Interrupt it. Make it matter. Be the one who refuses to fade. And if nothing else, be the reminder to every soul in this place that peace is not passive. It is chosen. And it begins when you decide, I'm not done yet. Final words. Don't let the walls decide your story. You might live in a nursing home, but you are not dead. Not if you speak. Not if you stretch. Not if you still seek the edge of what you can become. Keep moving. Keep reaching. Keep remembering who you are. Because the man who refuses to wait quietly lives loudly. And that kind of life, no matter where it happens, is a victory.